Today's Doctor Who review is a very special one, because today I reach my 100th Doctor Who review. Let's hit it! Hello Whovians and welcome to my review of the 100th Doctor Who story. I can't believe it, we have reached the 100th story. This is my 100th review of the show. Wow. And yeah, I am very happy to have got this far. The Stones of Blood. Oh, the Stones of Blood. This is very interesting. Before I actually begin the review, I'd just like to open up my beer. I think this deserves a little bit of a celebration. So, happy 100th story. Heineken. And of course, jelly babies. Right, if you'll just indulge me for a moment. Would you like a jelly baby? Right, so on with the review. The Stones of Blood. The plot of this episode is as follows. Searching for the third segment to the Key to Time brings the Doctor and Romana to present-day Earth, where the travellers have to contend with stone circles, druidic rituals, and a not-so-mythical goddess known as the Kaliak. And that is essentially the basic premise of the Stones of Blood. Okay, the Stones of Blood, the 100th story. And what a great 100th story. This is a great Doctor Who story. A really great Doctor Who story. And what I love about this one is that it takes itself seriously. I'm okay with the previous two stories. The previous two stories were more comedic. And that's fine. I haven't got a problem with that. But I think it was nice that this one went in a much scarier direction and a much horrific direction. I mean, this story is quite scary. It's particularly the first three parts are very chilling, and it's all darkly lit. Most of the story is set at nighttime, so it adds a lot of atmosphere to the story, and I think the atmosphere is very good. And this story does something which I never thought possible, which is to make gigantic stones scary. You know, these stones... I mean, they're called the Ogles. I think they're called the Ogles. The stones, when they take someone's blood, they take on a life of their own, and they just move like very slowly and come forward. Like that's all they do. But it's still very scary. I don't know how they did it. They managed to create such a great effect from that. Just a very empowering effect and almost chilling as well when they're coming towards you. And you know, for something as basic as a stone, you know, that really is impressive. So I gotta applaud that. That's well done. That is really good. I mean, the story is very dark. It is very very scary, but it's also quite funny. There are some humorous moments here. I mean, I think the cast are very good, and this is a much smaller cast, which is good. We had a lot of people in the previous couple of stories, so it's nice that they downscaled the cast a bit. We have the supporting cast, who I'll talk about first. The first person in the supporting cast is Professor Rumford, played by Beatrix Lehmann, and she is terrific. I mean, I really like this companion. I like this character, and I think she's a really, really sweet woman, and she's a professor, and she actually quite takes to the Doctor and Romana straight away, and she feels very betrayed by Vivian, who is her associate. But and actually, funny enough, Tom Baker actually wanted her to become a regular companion to the show, but very sadly, Beatrix passed away after this story, which is a real shame. But she's wonderfully charming. She gives a very good performance, and I might see if I can catch some more of her work, because if she wasn't anything else, because I think she's a really good asset to this story, and she keeps it charming, keeps it interesting. So yeah, she provides a lot of light relief. The villain of the story, or villainess, I should say, Vivian Faye, played by Susan Engel. She's very good. It's only about halfway in do we find out she is actually the villain. She reveals herself. She's very good, and in the last part, she's wearing all this silver makeup and a silver dress, and we obviously know she's not who she seems to be. She's good, although I do wish that her and the Doctor had more of a confrontation. Because in the last part of the story, they're just kind of sitting down because there's this trial going on. But I'll get to that in a minute. But the only other person is Martha. And no, not Martha Jones, just to be clear. Martha, played by Elaine Ives Cameron. She's good, although she's not in the story that much. But she's very good. And there's also the Megara, who are these little tiny machines. You can't really see them. They look like sparkles or stars, and they're just flying around. And the voices are done by Gerald Cross and David McAllister, and they're very good. There's also two campers in the story who are presumably going for a bit of a... But they're only cameos in the story, but I'll mention them. James Murray and Shirin Taylor. So good for them, they're good. And of course I've got to mention the Doctor. I mean, Tom Baker is once again superb in this story. I think this is a great performance from Tom Baker. I love the banter he has with Romana and K9, and the bickering he has, and I like the fact that he's when Romana thinks of the idea how to repair K9, he says it's ingenious, and he's almost a little bit taken aback by the fact that Romana suggested it. So there's a lot of good funny moments between them. Romana, Mary Tamm, yeah, once again, she's fabulous in this story. She's really good. There's even a moment in the first part of the story at the very end where she falls off a cliff, and she thinks it's the Doctor because she's heard his voice, and that was a pretty good cliffhanger, I must say. That was pretty good. Of course, it's not the Doctor. It was actually someone else. But yeah, no, she's very good in the story, and I like her inclusion very much. And of course, K9, played by John Leeson. K9's wonderful in this story. He's always charming. He gets some funny moments. He's very charming as well. He's always losing power, though, it seems. He doesn't have a long life battery. So yeah, they ought to fix that. Okay, this story is just really good. It has a lot of atmosphere. I love the setting. It's very creepy. The script is sensational by David Fisher. I think his script is very good. It goes back to the kind of classic horror movie feel of Doctor Who. Well, the first three parts anyway. But, and it's set in Cornwall in 1978, which is really good. And I just love the feeling of it, and it really feels like what some of the stories in the Hinchcliffe era felt like. That just, I was constantly on the edge of my seat. It was scary, it was tense, and that's what worked. I mean, I don't mind some of the more comedic stories, as I've said, but I like the fact that this story was quite tense. And the music, I mean, Dudley Simpson had great fun with the music in this one. You just listen out for the music. It's really good. My one complaint about the story, I have to say it's not perfect. There is one particular complaint. That is part 4 of the episode. Sorry, part 4 of the story. I have to say is not great. It's not that it's terrible. It's just that there's this whole kind of subversion in the story. Like the Doctor and Romana arrive on the ship, on the sort of space station of the Megara, and the Doctor breaks like a door seal, and then he has to go on trial for murder. Because his punishment is meant to be murder, but he's appealing against his sentence, and then he goes on trial, and that takes up the majority of part 4. It's just very jarring because the story initially starts out differently, and then most of part 4 we're spending on this space station with this trial, and it just drags on, and it doesn't really feel like it's part of this story. And Vivian just sits there the whole time while the Doctor and Romana's also involved as well, while the Doctor is on trial, and it's just a lot of talking. I mean, it's just stupid. The fact that all he did was break a door handle, and he's going on trial for that. Really? I mean, it's a bit over the top. I thought the script could have been rewritten there for part 4. It's like they couldn't think of what else to do, so they just wrote that. So I thought that was very jarring, and it was very oddly structured. It reminded me, actually, of the Keys of Marinus with William Hartnell, which starting out as an epic quest to go and find the keys, and then it diverted with Ian murdering someone, and then he went on trial for that, and then that took up a long time. So this was kind of similar to an extent. So I do wish that the fourth part was redone, because I didn't like the whole trial scene. It was just really unnecessary. It just dragged the episode on a bit. It dragged the fourth part on a bit. It's not too slow, but it's just not necessary to the overall plot. There is other things that go on in part 4 as well. Sorry, there are other things that go on in part 4, like K9 and the Professor and Romana trying to bring the Doctor... Well, sorry, K9 and the Professor trying to bring the Doctor and Romana back. So that's all good. But the whole trial part of the story was just completely unnecessary, and it diverted too much from the original story. But that being said, this is a very surprisingly great Doctor Who story, and considering that you've got these gigantic stones essentially as the main villains, as well as Vivian, that's something to be commended for. And happy 100th story. I'm going to give this story a 9 out of 10. Lovely. Good old Heineken. Go on then, one more jelly, baby. For all time's sake. I think we'll go with this one. That is it for this review of The Stones of Blood. What do you think? Please leave your comments down below. Let me know. And stay tuned next time when we review the 4th story in Season 16, The Androids of Tara. So, until next time, thank you all for watching. And I'm Mr. TARDIS11. See you soon. Bye for now.